Welcome back to 10-Minute Books. Today we are exploring one of the most powerful and enduring works in the history of literature. A story that has shaped culture, psychology, theatre, and philosophy for more than 400 years. This is Hamlet, written by William Shakespeare, a tragedy that explores betrayal, madness, revenge, morality, and the complexity of being human. At its core, Hamlet is a story about a young man searching for truth in a world full of lies. It is about the struggle between action and hesitation, between reason and emotion, and between who we are and who we believe we should be. The play begins in the royal court of Denmark. Prince Hamlet has just lost his father, King Hamlet, who has died suddenly. Before Hamlet has time to grieve, his mother, Queen Gertrude, marries his uncle Claudius, who has now become the new king. The castle whispers with rumours. Something is wrong. And then something extraordinary happens. Hamlet sees a ghost that claims to be the spirit of his dead father. The ghost reveals a terrible truth. King Hamlet did not die from natural causes. He was murdered, poisoned by Claudius, the man who now sits on the throne. The ghost commands Hamlet to seek revenge. From this moment, Hamlet's world changes forever. He is torn between duty and doubt, between the demand for justice and his fear of sin and consequences. He is placed in an impossible position. How can he prove the truth? Who can he trust? What does justice look like when the world is corrupted? The rest of the play follows Hamlet's struggle with the weight of this responsibility. Instead of acting immediately, he hesitates, he reflects, he analyses every possibility. Hamlet becomes consumed with thought, questioning not only what he must do, but the meaning of existence itself. He famously delivers one of the most well-known passages in literature, contemplating life and death, to be or not to be. But the speech is not simply poetic. It is the core of the play's central question. What does it mean to act in a world filled with uncertainty? As Hamlet delays, events begin to spiral beyond his control. He pretends to be mad in order to buy time and observe the behaviour of others. But soon his act begins to blur with reality. The court becomes paranoid. Spies watch every move. Loyalty becomes impossible to know. Even those who love him no longer understand him. One of the most tragic consequences is the destruction of Ophelia, the young woman who deeply loves Hamlet. Caught between Hamlet and her own family, she becomes a casualty of the chaos. When her father, Polonius, is killed, Ophelia loses stability, loses faith, and eventually loses her mind. Her tragic death becomes a symbol of innocence, crushed by the consequences of deceit and revenge. Meanwhile, Claudius becomes increasingly desperate to protect his power. He plots to kill Hamlet, fearing exposure. The tension grows until revenge becomes inevitable. In the final act, everything collapses at once. A poisoned duel is arranged between Hamlet and Laertes, Ophelia's brother. The queen accidentally drinks poisoned wine meant for Hamlet. Laertes and Hamlet wound each other. And at last, Hamlet finally kills Claudius, fulfilling the ghost's command. But it is too late. Hamlet himself has been fatally poisoned. As he dies, he urges others to tell his story truthfully, so that justice and meaning do not disappear with him. Hamlet is more than a story about revenge. It is a story about the human mind under pressure. It is a story about the cost of indecision. Hamlet is a thinker, a philosopher, a man who wants the world to be rational and moral. But the world he lives in is chaotic, corrupt, and unpredictable. One of the play's most powerful themes is that thinking without action can be as destructive as action without thought. Hamlet sees every possibility so clearly that he fears choosing the wrong one. In trying to avoid making a mistake, he ends up causing far greater consequences. The play forces us to confront a timeless question. When should we wait? And when must we act? What is the difference between wisdom and paralysis? Hamlet teaches us that overthinking can become a prison. When we refuse to decide, we lose control of the outcome. Life moves with or without us. Another major theme in the play is the struggle between appearance and reality. Nearly every character wears a mask. Claudius hides murder beneath charm. Hamlet hides intelligence beneath madness. Polonius heeds manipulation beneath loyalty. Ophelia hides pain beneath obedience. Shakespeare shows that deception is powerful but dangerous. The more we hide, the more we destroy trust, relationships, and truth itself. Hamlet reminds us that honesty, though sometimes painful, is essential to freedom. Without truth, everything collapses. Hamlet also explores the fragility of sanity. When the world breaks its rules, when trust disappears, and when pressure becomes unbearable, the mind begins to fracture. Shakespeare shows that madness is not simply noise or nonsense. Madness is what happens when reality becomes too heavy to hold alone. Every character in Hamlet is trying to survive grief, betrayal, fear, and uncertainty. Some collapse, some escape into denial, some cling to power, some seek revenge. Hamlet is not simply a tragedy of death. It is a tragedy of emotion and identity. Another powerful idea in Hamlet is the inevitability of fate. Throughout the play, characters believe they are in control, but every action pulled by revenge pulls another thread until the entire structure crashes. Shakespeare warns that revenge does not create justice. It creates destruction. Hamlet does achieve revenge, but the cost is everything. No one wins. No one escapes. The kingdom falls. The stage is left covered in bodies. The message is clear. Violence returns violence. Anger spreads like a disease. Justice built on destruction cannot create peace. So what lessons can we take into our own lives? First, the importance of acting with clarity and courage. Hamlet waited too long. He allowed fear and hesitation to stop him from making necessary decisions. Many people do the same today. They wait to chase a dream, to start a project, to speak the truth, to defend what matters. Hamlet shows us that time is not infinite. Delay has consequences. Waiting for the perfect moment guarantees that nothing changes. Wisdom requires balance. Think deeply, but do not drown in thought. Act boldly, but not blindly. Second, the play reminds us that pretending to be something we are not destroys relationships. Wearing masks may feel safe, but they isolate us. Authenticity creates trust. Ophelia's fate shows the danger of suppressing your voice to please others. Hamlet's struggle shows the pain of trying to hide emotion instead of expressing it. The play encourages us to be honest with ourselves and with others. Third, Hamlet teaches us that grief and trauma must be faced, not buried. The refusal to process pain creates instability and emotional collapse. Healing requires acceptance, vulnerability, and support. Shakespeare reminds us that no one survives alone. Finally, Hamlet shows us that truth matters. The world is full of deception, manipulation, and hidden motives. But without truth, society falls apart. Hamlet's dying wish is that his story be told honestly so that justice can live beyond death. In a world of noise and confusion, truth is the anchor. The big takeaway from Hamlet is this: life is full of uncertainty. No one has perfect information. No one always chooses correctly. But we must learn to balance thought and action, reason and feeling, caution and courage. Overthinking leads to regret. Avoidance leads to loss. Silence leads to tragedy. As Shakespeare teaches through Hamlet, we must confront our fears, act with purpose, and choose truth even when it is difficult. Action transforms fate. Reflection without movement changes nothing. That was Hamlet by William Shakespeare, broken down into its most powerful lessons. What part of Hamlet resonates most with you? The struggle to act, the pain of betrayal, or the search for meaning in confusion? Share your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoyed this summary, be sure to like this video, subscribe to 10-Minute Books, and tap the bell so you never miss our weekly breakdowns of life-changing books and classics. Remember, thought shapes destiny, but only action makes it real.